Hello, everybody. This is the Big Talk Show. We have normally wonderful topic, and then today at the Easter season, the last day, Easter Sunday, we had a good example of a greatest leader at all time, Jesus, the greatest speaker. Not only his word saves lives, transform lives, and inspire people. And then we have tonight a wonderful topic as always, the power of good talks. Everything changes with talking because God Himself, when He was creating the world, He used words. He spoke, thing existed. In the same way, tonight, words can transform your lives. Every listeners, be ready to listen. Our guest, Steve Goblin. And we have always with us our The Big Talk Show team, Jackie Pilgrim. How are you, Jackie?
Doing good. How are you?
Pretty well, thank you. And we have also John. How are you, John?
Doing well, doing well.
Thank you so much. And welcome to the Big Talk Show tonight. Our guest, Steve Gambling, with this topic, the power of good talks. Welcome, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Daniel. Very happy to be here.
Pretty well. And we're happy that you can be here with us to share this wonderful topic. And then, before everything, let us start with this topic. Without further ado, what is the power of good talks, Steve?
To me, any good talk is one that connects with an audience, whether it's one person having a one on one conversation with somebody and helping them out with some good positive energy, or a speaker like myself being up on stage in front of 1,000 people. And there's such a misconception out there. And I've been a member of the National Speakers Association, I've been a member of Toastmasters. One thing that I disagree that sometimes is a widely held belief is you've got to be larger than life. You got to be up there being loud, being, this big presentation over the top. And we've been kind of led to feel that way by so many motivational speakers over the years. When I first decided to become a speaker around 2004, I had people saying, "Oh my God, you're going to be the next Tony Robbins." And I thought, A, I'm not 6'7". B, I don't have lasers, thundering music, and fog and lights and all these things whenever I speak. To me, unfortunately, many people think that's being a powerful speaker is jumping up and down, yelling things that rhyme, stomping loud music, and all of the effects. When to me, a powerful talk is one that connects with people and it answers questions they may have and it gives them guidance to get to the next step, whatever it is they may be pursuing in their lives. And to me, that's what makes an effective talk, one that creates impact. And as the person delivering it, sometimes we don't even know if it was an effective talk until minutes after we're off stage, or sometimes even years later. We may hear from somebody who says, I saw one of your presentations and I just wanted to let you know I took action on what you said and it had a great positive impact on my life. So to me, the power of a talk is really being authentic, being genuine, being led by your heart, and connecting with people, making the goal to connect with people as much as possible, their eyes, their ears, their hearts, their souls, their guts, to really make that connection with somebody. And to me, that is what makes a really powerful talk.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate that. I would like that Jackie say something about the power of great talk. The power of great talk. If you have question for Steve, Steve can answer, and after John, going to have question for you. It's a back and forth. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Jackie.
Yes, I love what you said, Steve, because I think that's the power of, yeah, of great talks as well. One thing I love to do when I open up with, like, when I do a devotional at work or when I'm doing professional development, anything like that, right? And I'm speaking in front of people, I like to start with a story because I know that's going to hook them right away. And it's something that, like you said, somebody will remember years after you did it. I did a devotional a couple years ago, and it was in front of about 80 people, my department, and it was about connecting with people during the holidays or family members. And so I told this really funny story that happened during Thanksgiving one year, and it was so funny, and everybody, just the whole audience laughed, and afterwards they were like, that was such a funny story. So it was Thanksgiving one year, and we were having Thanksgiving dinner. My grandparents would always have all the turkey, the sides. My grandfather would get a 20-pound turkey for 4 people, 5 people, you know. I was like, wow, you're going all out. He's like, well, yeah, you got to have the turkey soup. You got to have the turkey sandwiches after and all that. But we had all the sides out, and then he put the turkey down in the middle, and the table collapsed on us. And we're like, oh my goodness. We're like, okay, we got to get all the sides and the turkey, and we got to put it on the dining table. Well, my grandmother was like, that table was off limits. Nobody could use that table at all for anything. It was just there, I think, for show. It was a table that they both got when they got married, but it was off limits, right? And so we're like, and she's just like, no, don't do that. And we're like, what can we do? The table's on the floor. Everything's right there, you know? So it was hilarious. But when I told that story, everybody was just like, wow, yeah, I remember, you know, funny stories. And so it recalled some things that they remembered. And so I really connected with them, I think, early on. And even years later, people will say, I remember that story. I remember you telling me that. Yeah. So, yeah. So I love the power of telling stories, I think. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's also a great way to connect with your audience, is giving them that hook, that great story that they can resonate with?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And even 20 plus years now after being starting as a speaker, people ask, Steve, don't you ever get nervous? And I say, yeah, I only get nervous every time, because my biggest concern is that first hook, that first story, because I do a lot of storytelling in my presentations. The first 90 seconds to 2 minutes, if I can engage them and get a story, it's like, you know, those planes that refuel in midair, and there's the plane that's kind of running low on gas, and that hose with the connection is flopping around, and as soon as they connect, they go, okay, we're all going to survive this. That's how I feel in the first 90 seconds to 2 minutes of every presentation. And I do my best to just connect in a real way. And humor is something I use a lot. So see, now I'm going to remember that you just told a very abbreviated version of that. And I am going to remember that, because I love good, effective storytelling with great visuals and emotion, and use your voice great and everything. So we're in an audience of 3 people here, at least in the digital room, and I'm going to remember that. Next time I go to a big family dinner, I'm going to take the table, I'm going to kind of shake it and do an inspection of the legs, just in case, because the table we actually ate Easter dinner on today is well over, I think it's about 112 years old.
Wow.
It was my great.
So it's an antique. It's an antique.
Oh yeah, it belonged to my great grandparents, I believe, when they got married, and my mom still has it. Wow.
So it's traveled from generation to generation. Yeah.
It's been around. Yeah.
It's been around.
In a good way. And
exactly.
To my knowledge, it's never collapsed, because, you know, good craftsmanship beats IKEA. So it's going to be around a while, but I'm certainly going to shake the legs a little.
Yeah, I'd go, is this going to work? Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. It's the power of great storytelling. Absolutely. You hook them in the first few minutes, and you know, hey, you know, and you can read the room. You can tell, are they there? Are they resonating with it? You know, and I also like ending with something that's really powerful too. Something that's going to, you kind of give them those bookends, right? You start with something and then you end with something. So you know that they're going to, it's just going to, leave a lasting impact with them. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. There's so much power in storytelling. Absolutely. Yes. Love it.
All right. Thank you so much, Jackie, for your input about the Power Great Talks and the questions to Steve. Now we have a friend and the co-host of the for 6 years. I can say John have been my co-host, and now we have Jackie. Now now we get the team completely. We get Dr. Sheila gonna be here with us. You know, they do good job. You know, good job. They're wonderful people. And then we have John going to question Steve about the power of good talks. John, you have the microphone, please.
Sure. I think what I'll just say, what you say makes sense. I will say to you, coming from media and video production and being an engineer, I'm not a big Tony Robbins fan because of the way things are implemented, but I'm all for media. In the sense, when I do a big talk or I'm going to get in coliseums, I'll get our systems up there to fire people up, but I need to hold that truth when I get on stage. Because you see, my big thing is if I've got a large group of people, I need to get them pumped. Mm-hmm. And then when I get on stage, I carry that energy. I don't have music and then I'm like, okay, so what's everybody doing? So I have to carry that. Yeah. And to me, it doesn't get, so the lights and the stuff is important as long as it is sincere with who I am. And I think that's the most important thing. So yeah, I'll do lights. I won't do fog. I'll do lights, I'll do some effects, I'll do some sound, and it'll get the people going like at a ball game. But the most important thing is that we stay sincere. And I tell people when I start, look, the music puts us in a certain state every day, right? So I want to put you guys in a certain state. And when you're in that state, you can't get angry. You can't get this. And I explained some certain things to them. And to me, I've been Toastmasters for a while, long time, DTM. Started when I was probably just out of college. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that for me, I love speaking. So I don't get scared getting on stage. I was just talking to a friend of mine where I did some stand-up comedy. And the hardest thing for me was when I was doing stand-up comedy and I was getting heckled because I was expecting the crowd to be respectful to me. That was my hardest time. Stand-up comedy is not my specialty, but I've done it. And it's hard, especially when they know you're beginning. So I guess, Steve, to me, I mean, obviously, both being keynote speakers and stuff for a while, I think, and you probably agree with this, is that it's about, like you said, being genuine. I think being genuine, it's about telling a story, telling a truthful story, something that people can relate to. Yeah, that's a me too. And sometimes people don't always want to agree with them. Like, hey, you don't have to agree with any of this stuff. But if it resonates with you, great. You don't have to share it with me. But just ask yourself these questions in your head. Are you possibly going through this? Are you possibly procrastinating? Are you possibly delaying? Or are you possibly not doing something because you're waiting to feel comfortable? My show tonight was this whole Master Topic Week is all about rising before you're ready, getting the theme from the Bible. So my theme for the whole week for series 5, show 15, rise before you're ready. And tonight, this topic was you need to rise now when it's not comfortable. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that if you're looking for things to be comfortable, well, I'm sorry, that's not life. You got to practice getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. And I think, like you said, to inspire people, but to make the difference, to get people to see, what you're about. And you probably know this being a long time. We put a lot of effort into screening our guests. I will be happy to tell you that out of, let's say we get 300 guests a month, 2 of those people will get picked. And I say that not for a bad reason. About 250 of them will not qualify the process. The other people will actually sit and meet with me. And I just come to them and I'm like, I appreciate your time, but I want to be very clear with you while we're here. We're here to see if there's a good fit with you and my audience. It's not personal. It's to see if there's a match. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, have you had a chance to watch my show? Oh, not really. I'm really busy. I get it. I'm busy too. I said, here's what I want you to do for me. Would you do me a favor and go watch 1 or 2 of my shows in its entirety? Then come back and we'll have a conversation, because you and I both know there's no point. And I know you're not here to pitch me, right? You're not here to pitch me your product or services. And then they go into a slump because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to pitch. And I'm just like, I know you want to do that. I said, and you're not going to do that, because if you ever did that, I would never want to give you a second chance. So I know you're not going to try to pitch me today. And then they kind of go under the covers. But when I in the beginning, I used to pick everybody because I wanted everybody. Now it's like I pick and choose. And now we started going on site. I also pick and choose the venues I want to be at, what restaurant I want to be at. And it's different when you pick your hosts, when you pick your guests, right? When you want to grab everybody in the beginning because you want to have that exposure, it's one thing. But I think when you can be disciplined to be who you want to pick and how they align, a lot of them are like, well, you have a formal process. I said, yeah, we do. We're actually writing a process right now that'll make it AI. So our system will actually pre-interview you with AI. And if we feel that your questions match our system, we'll recommend scheduling another interview with us live. If not, we're going to thank you for the opportunity and say you're not a match. That will be up and running by the end of the year.
Wow.
So that's kind of where we're going, because we waste a lot of time interviewing guests. That's the biggest thing. But I love having guests. I love learning. And I always tell people, I may know a lot, but there's always something I don't know. And I think getting to meet other people, other guests and things, and, creating, like you said, creating that content. But for me, it's not just about creating the content. It's about also learning. Because every time I do a show, every time I bring a guest on, even when I do the show myself, I'm still learning. And I think that's the most important thing, where to me, it's not about doing a Hollywood show. It's not about trying to impress anybody. It's about just being truthful. And I get some guests that say, John, we love that about your show. I get some people say, gee, we don't want to advertise with you. I said, well, I really wasn't looking for you anyway. They want to buy me, so I'll tell them their product is good. And I just won't do that. I really am picky, even with our traveling show now. I don't really want any sponsor. I want people that are going to back me. We have a tour that's going to lead. It's going to go all around the United States. We have about 50 or 60 stops we'll be making in a year. And I'm trying to get sponsors, but I don't want people that are going to have me sell my soul to them.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem. That you just be genuine, and people know what you stand for. And I think too, you do this every day because you want to make a difference in the world. I tell people, I'm not trying to make a million different differences out there. I'm just trying to change one person's life. And I'll leave with this story. There was a lady who got on my show about 3.5 years ago. She was broke. She had a horrible situation. And I usually don't coach people for free. And I said, tell you what, I'll call her name, let's say Kristen. That wasn't her name. I said, Kristen, here's what I want you to do. I know you're having a hard time. I said, the show's over right now. I said, I'm going to give you my number. You can reach out to me. Here's my schedule. I'm going to help you. Okay. But you have to do what I tell you. In 2 weeks, she turned her whole life around. And she went from being penniless to quitting 5 jobs to having one job that made 4 times what she was making working 5 of them.
Nice.
She was losing her family. She was losing all these things happening. And by the time I got done with her family was moving back. She just was so happy about life. And I tell people, our perceptions create our reality. So if you are basically saying, gee, I'm getting this bad life, well, you're going to get more of what you focus on. Mm-hmm. Our thoughts bring about, our energy brings about our life. And if you focus on good things, more good things are going to happen to you. Yep. And the last thing I'll lead on is that if somebody isn't going to change, I'm not here to change them. But if somebody around me wants to change, great. But if they don't, I'm like, I appreciate that. I don't think we're a match. I don't think I want to hang around with you anymore. Your energy's like rubbing off on me, and that's ruining me. So I can't have that. And I think that's something that changed with me. But briefly, the whole story about my book 14 years ago, I broke my tib and fib. That's part in the book. And I said there were some things that happened to me in that book that I didn't want to reveal. And I think the reason I want to reveal them is when it first happened, I'm like, I don't want to share that. Now I'm like, I'm happy to share that. I'm human, I'm humble. And I also want to share how people who you thought would take care of you actually were here to hurt and harm you. Mm. So it was a very interesting thing just talking about that. And just, I think people want to know that, I don't want to say they're like you, but you're going through challenges too, just like they are. Oh, I think that's the biggest thing. And these people out there that tell me they're not going through challenges, they're full of it. Yeah. They're full of it. Yeah.
John, what question you have for Steve?
Steve, so I'd ask you this: if you had to do it all over tomorrow, yeah. Okay, this is what I offer a lot of my clients. If you had to do it all over tomorrow, let's say tomorrow was the day you're going to restart everything.
Yeah.
What 3 things would you do differently today?
Whew. First off, I would have better self-talk than I did when I started, because my self-talk was absolute garbage at the time. According to my journals in 2004, I like to refer to myself as Hurricane Dumbass, category 5. So I would have much better self-talk. I would surround myself with the right people whom I trusted to build out the systems for my business, because I felt back in the day I had to have my thumbprint on everything, and I cobbled little things together that didn't work, and I wasted a lot of time. And the third thing is I would have aimed a lot higher, and I would have taken on bigger challenges. Small thinking derailed me for a long time because I didn't feel I was worthy of a higher end of speaking fee. Not like some of these programs promise you, like, we can get you $10,000 gig and whatever. Hey, I was doing stuff for a free breakfast for the first couple of years at Rotaries. Great practice.
That happened to me. I spoke for Harvard by them giving me a dinner.
Yeah.
So I think, but the point I'll let on that you really made a good point on, and it's something I've been holding up for a long time. I own a few businesses, and one of the businesses that I could just not grow any more than I could was my tech company that I have now, 34 years. And I made a big decision in the last month or two, all while I'm writing this book, by the way, which has been a very big help. Like, while I'm writing the book, a lot's coming to life. I said, I got to not be afraid to scale. And I need to start removing John from the equation so that John's there, but John's there at a much higher premium. So what I'm slowly starting to do now is bring people in that can do my daily stuff. And John only comes in when it's absolutely necessary. So that is what I didn't want to do. I built the systems, but now I have teams working on things. I don't need my fingerprint on everything. And I think you're right. That becomes like an ego thing that you have to have your finger. I don't need my fingerprint. I need to grow my businesses and scale. I don't need to touch everything. I don't need to sign every paper. I need you to do those things. I don't need to run cables anymore. I don't need to review what you did. You're good at your job. And that's the biggest challenge. So in 2027 is our year of scaling, where I actually become the person that steps down from the daily IT. I'm there as the brains only. And the reason I'm doing that is starting next year, I'm actually going to be doubling up on my majors. So I'll be doing 2 classes with them, but you can't do that. So I think that's the whole thing. You probably found that too, is that when you want to travel, you want to grow, you can't be doing these things if you're trying to do everything.
Yeah.
And companies will charge you money for scaling, but I think it's that sense inside of us that we have to let go.
Okay, thank you, John.
Okay. Yeah.
For all the input. I have 6 questions reserved for communicator Steve. My first question is, what makes a talk powerful and effective?
For me, it's impact. And as I shared before, we don't even always know what the impact is. People can clap because they really loved it, or they can clap because you are finally done. So we don't know in that moment. For me, it's the impact. It's hearing back, putting faith and trust that what I'm putting out on that stage or that podcast or that video or wherever I am, that it comes from completely from my heart, because I care about my audience. So I'm going to give my best to every audience. But we don't know it's a powerful talk until either you get hired to come back, or you happen to run into somebody and they say, hey, I remember you. And this actually happened to me. My favorite memory of this happened in 2013, where I was in between business meetings and I remembered, oh my gosh, I have to get some breakfast bars. So I saw a grocery store. I'm walking down the Captain Crunch aisle and a gentleman walks past and he turns around and he goes, hey man, you're that speaker, right? And I turned around. There's nobody else in the aisle. I said, yes, sir, I'm a speaker. What do you remember? And he said, the monster truck couple, which is one of my stories that I tell about wherever you are, if you're engaging, pay attention to the people that are sending the best energy back your way that you're building a connection with. And he described the graphic that had been on the screen, which was like seats at an arena, upper seats, there was emptiness. So that these are the people who never show up in your life anyway, don't pay attention. Down in the bottom corner, there were two gentlemen who looked more bored than any person could ever look, which just means whatever was happening in the arena right then was just not what they came for. And then there was this couple that were just going, yeah. And I said, that's my monster truck couple. This is a monster truck rally. And they just saw a truck flip over and they are flipping out with excitement. And he said, a week after you spoke, I was at a job interview. And there was 3 people interviewing me, and I knew after the first question who my monster truck person was, and I gave my best interview ever, and I got hired.
Perfect.
Now, the event I spoke at was one I did for free, one of 43 events for the state of Mass and state of New Hampshire for an unemployment networking organization. Spoke for free in front of 85 people, and 3 years later, this guy sees me in the grocery store. That's how I know that was a powerful speech.
Thank you, John, for answering the first question. The second one is, why it is important to know your audience before giving a talk.
I learned this one the hard way because I don't normally speak for teens and young adults. And this was about 10 years ago. And I was giving a presentation I normally give to people between the age of 35 and 60. And I said, next time you're in your car, what CD you're going to listen to? And one kid went, ha, ha, ha. He goes, what's a CD? I said, ask your parents. They were awesome. I said, MP3, digital music, satellite radio, YouTube, TikTok, whatever. But I had to remember they need to understand the references.
Mm-hmm.
So me now being 58, I don't speak to teens and young adults anymore. I'm still my audience. So I need to remember with the references and the stories and examples that I use. That's very important.
That's great.
But you don't know who's going to come to your talk. You target toward XYZ, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody could still come. You remember Mr. Rohn, who'd been for a long time, and also Dr. Dwyer. I was one of the youngest people in his audience at 16.
Wow.
I wasn't his audience. So you never know who's going to show up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Normally, I don't have people that age. And this one teen organization brought me in. And so it was all teens. And as soon as I said that, as soon as the letters C and D came out of my mouth, and that kid laughed, I caught myself and thought of it. And I said, CDs are cool. I said, your parents might use them as coasters now. So just ask them.
Speak for decades, and you'll have a whole different world.
Yeah.
Thank you, John, for everything. I have the third question now because I have 6 questions, John. Let me finish up my 6th question because I'm learning for all these answers. And then these questions, the third one, how can stories and examples improve a talk?
I mean, there's the old saying, facts tell, stories sell. Meaning, I believe we really align ourselves with people and we get to show our authenticity, our vulnerability, our credibility as well. And the stories that we share, especially ones from our own experiences in our own lives, there's such a touch of connection. And I think people can really understand when you share a story that is something that they could possibly relate to in your life, like Jackie was talking about the table. Gosh, we've all had that family holiday meal situation. And if you can teach a lesson using a story that people can relate to, they may not even realize that you're actually teaching them something in the moment. You're kind of reaching out and connecting with them heart and soul. And even while you're telling a story, you can gauge the connection you're making. Audience members don't even realize if you look them in the eye, they just automatically nod. And I love that. And I never abuse that as a power, but that's how I find my people to go back to connect with. And I often find those are the people that will come up after me, afterward, and just have a conversation and say, oh, I love that story about this. I had something very similar. So I do my best to just connect authentically with people. And then, because there are speakers out there who use these tired old stories. If any of you have ever heard the starfish story, great lesson, but oh my gosh, just let that thing gather dust and just die on a shelf. Tell me authentically what you're all about in your stories. And that's something I love. People still ask me sometimes, hey, Steve, how do you make up those stories you share on stage? And I just stare at them and tilt my head like a puppy.
Mhm.
Have you not been paying attention to how many times I've nearly destroyed my life over the past 25 years? I just took notes and wrote it down because I figured if I did it,
Hmm.
other people did it. So I just share those authentic stories.
Thank you, Steve. And my first question is, why is preparation important for a great talk?
It's everything. I prepare for every single presentation so much that it actually looks and sounds like I'm winging it.
Wow.
I prepare to sound spontaneous in a lot of ways. We've all seen speakers, and some of them are some of the biggest names. You can tell they've done it 1,000 times, and maybe they're not as excited about it anymore. But it can be very rote. It can be very mechanical. It can be very calculated. Now, I've told the same stories over and over for the past 20 years. And one of the greatest lessons I ever learned is from a gentleman named James Malinchak. And it wasn't even him that delivered it.
Mhm.
It was one of his speaker boot camps. And I had invested and got the recording. And somebody in his audience raised his hand and said, James, I never tell stories. I relive them.
Mhm.
That has shaped how I speak on stage and how I can sound spontaneous as though I'm just telling it for the first time, and my excitement and my connection and my physical, my facial, my timing, my everything, even if I've told it 100 times. But it's because I've prepared to tell it that. And I know speakers, especially new ones, who say,
Mhm.
I don't even know what I'm going to say when I get up there. I'm just going to go up there and wing it. And I go, okay. Hope you're recording this, because you may strike gold, or you may learn a very valuable lesson to never do that again.
Mhm.
But I believe I prepare, and I know my stuff, and I got it down cold because I've done it 1,000 times to do it 10 times on stage.
Thank you so much, Steve. I like that. My first question: how can a speaker keep the audience interested?
Don't overwhelm them. Too many people try to squeeze too much content. Like maybe you're normally delivering a 40 to a 50-minute keynote talk or something like that. And then when they get a 15 or a 20-minute window, they try to cram everything from the big one into that. Go easy on your audience. They're there to learn something. Even if they're there to take away one thing, please don't be like a machine gun or a super soaker just all over them. Find a couple of points. A lot of times three. Three is a great magic number. Find three things you want to impart upon them. Tell them where you're going to take them there, remind them of where you took them,
Mhm.
and close out. But do not try to overwhelm them. Keep it, there's the KISS principle. Keep it silly. Keep it simple, silly. And I believe that is very important. Some people try to say way too much.
Mhm.
And it's like trying to juggle 20 tennis balls when you're only comfortable juggling 2 or maybe 3.
Mhm.
Just remember that. Your audience is there to take something away. Don't try to do too much.
Thank you, Steve. And I have the last question going to be for John and Jackie as well, but it's for you first of all.
Okay.
What is the most important lesson you learned from the power of great talks?
It's never about me. I'm not up there for applause. I'm up there for connection and benefit to my audience. And I had a speaker one time come up to me at an event one time. He says, I've got more than 500 standing ovations. And he just acted like that made him the king of speakers. And I just looked at him and said, I got one and I cheated to get it. A friend of mine in the front row of a keynote in front of about 200 people. Now I was added at the last minute as the speaker. I wasn't even on the signs. And I bet my friend I'd get a standing ovation. And she said, yeah, right. These people don't even know you. I said, you watch. And near the end, I got everybody to stand up, not in a cheesy way, but to actually go through one of the things that I had shared. And while they were still standing, I said, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your event. And they clapped. So to me, getting standing ovations is not a sign of being a good speaker. It's connecting with people. not just aiming for the front row or for cheap laughter or applause. It's really connecting and reaching everybody. I don't care about standing ovations. I don't care about applause. I'm just up there for impact, connection, and to leave my audience slightly better than I found them, even if it's just in their self-belief or their confidence to take one more step or one more try towards whatever they're trying to achieve in their life.
Thank you so much, Steve. And I turn back that question to John. 1 minute, John, for you, what is the most important lesson you learned from the power of great talks?
I think just basically echoing the thing about being unique, regardless of what society wants you to be. I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm here for my audience, and that's why I started my podcast, because I wanted some way to be able to help everyone every single day.
Thank you so much, John. And about you, Jackie, what is the most important lesson you learned from the power of great talks?
Gosh, there's so much good information to share on that. And I echo what everybody's saying. It's so important. I would say, yeah, just being able to connect with your audience, inspire them. Yeah, I like what you said, Steve, leaving them better than what they came, right? I think that's so important. Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons I started my podcast too, because I teach every day, and I love what you said, Steve, about not overwhelming people, because as an instructional designer, as a professor, that's one of the things I teach my students all the time. So please don't overwhelm people, because they're going to remember like 1% of what you said, probably, if you do that. If you throw all the darts at them and say, okay, let's see what's going to stick, right? Nothing's going to really stick with them. So make it simple, right? Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm all about that too. Absolutely. Keep it simple.
Thank you so much. Then for me, when I learn about that, the power of great talks refer to the transformative impact that meaningful conversation can have in individuals and groups. These talks are characterized by the ability to inspire. That's why we say we always inspire, motivate, and change lives. They are often the result of deep, honest discussions where people share their thoughts, feelings, and experiences, leading to a profound sense of understanding and connection. Great thoughts can shift perspectives, foster empathy, and encourage positive change, making them a powerful tool for personal and collective growth. For me, the most important thing about the power of great talks is connection. Because when you see all the leaders, maybe the leaders connect with people to the good thing or bad thing. They connect to them. Because they connect to them, they inspire them to do what the leader wants them to do in a positive, in a negative way, in a positive way, what those people have inside of them to do. For example, when we were Hitler was a great talk, but he connect with people to fulfill his desire. That's not good. But when you see there's other leader that had great talks, they inspire people to make a change, like Martin Luther King, right? Two different leaders, but leaders that would connect people to make a change. Amen. That's the power of great talks. Great talks are only to talk, but to at the end, that person can make a change to the lives and the life of others. The power of connection. Because John Maxwell said, you have to ask people for their hands before you make a walk with them. Because people go with me. I need to have your hands. When you have your hands, I can lead you or a very good path or bad path. That's why all the leaders know. They know how to be connected to people, to lead them to the good direction or the negative direction. You see what's going on. That's people become favoritism because they believe the power of the good talk of the leaders. You know what I'm saying? And then there's the people, even if some leaders make people blind, they cannot think what they do because they believe too much in the leaders, because the leaders connect with them. They believe in the talk. What I'm saying, that's why the power of good talks make connection. That's what I learned. Connect with people. And when you connect with people, you take the hand, you lead them whatever you want. Maybe a good path. Hitler led people on a bad path, but we have a wonderful leader, Martin Luther King, that took the hands of the people that make a change all over the world. Even if it he died, but his connection, you know, like Jesus example, Jesus connected to 12 disciples, and that connections allowed the 12 disciples to be connected with billion of people. That's why we celebrate it today as a memorial of Jesus' resurrection, right? But that leader did that 12, like 2,000 years ago, more than that. Connection. Good talks brings connection. That's the way we are doing now. I'm connected with John, I'm connected to Jack, I'm connected with you, Steve. That's the way we can do things together. There is no connection, there is no production. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much. This is what I can do to wrap up. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Steve, for coming. And remember, the other Sunday gonna be the part 2 of the Power of Good Talks. Thank you. Happy Easter season for everybody. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate
Jackie, thank you so much. I didn't have time to answer you with the question, and I believe that was so wonderful to with your message. But I'm going to answer you right now because I was in a rush to send the link. You know,
That's
how
all
your mom
right.
doing? I'm sorry. How your mom doing, Jackie?
Oh, she's about the same. Yeah. It's not much better. I'm trying to get her to the doctor, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me get Steve. Steve want to say something. Steve,
Oh.
is that you're going to go? Steve? Steve? It's like we connected. Okay. Let me remove him. Steve? Hello?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? I'm going to say something.
He's typing
Hello,
too.
Steve? Thank you so much.
Oh, you're still live, I think,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Oh, I'm still live.
Mm-hmm.